I don't know about you, but after the dungeon tour, I'm thirsty.
Your coffee is so bad. I've been living on like coffee and bread and croissants. And luckily there's like little fresh fruit corners everywhere because, God, it's good.
So what'd you do before getting into sex work? Because I've heard some stories.
Yeah. Okay, so like I have a couple of really funny ones. I was a mortician during COVID. Well, technically I was under an apprentice license. I wasn't fully licensed. I did a year of the schooling during COVID.
Okay. Now, sorry to interrupt, but I bet you learned a bunch of skills that were probably useful in the dungeon now.
Now, yeah, my suturing, chef's kiss. Also, I can move a body with just a bed sheet.
You talked to me about that the other day, and I wanted you to show me when we were at the dungeon. I totally forgot. You have to show me how to do that.
We'll do it next time.
Yeah.
We'll do it next time.
Because I do a lot of kidnappings. I love kidnapping role plays.
It's perfect for that. Or like if someone's like mummified, like super mummified, you can move them around anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Just one bed sheet. Oh, so that was good. Also, like a funny one was I was like a balloon artist at a party shop.
So I bet you have some lunar videos.
I do. I have like a little. Yeah, I do. I have some lunar. I'm not like turned on by balloons myself, but I mean, there's rubber shiny things going on, right? I have like my little fascinations with things. Well, okay, totally. What is your background though?
So I was in the restaurant industry for a really long time. I was a professional chef. So talk about transfer of skills. Exactly, knife flick. One of my favorite kinks, absolutely.
That's fun.
But I came up in a very male-dominated field.
Okay,
The restaurant industry, particularly in the kitchen, it's boys' club, so I had to work 3 times as hard to get to the same place.
Yeah.
I always had male, primarily my kitchen staff was almost all male, so I've always been kind of in dominant roles, even though I didn't identify as a dom. I've always been bossy. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I've always been bossy.
You know, I heard a funny rumor about me from back home that this guy claims that he dated me, and when I broke up with him, I chased him around with a knife, which is really funny because it's not true. I've never, ever done that. But also the guy who started the rumor, who claims to be the boyfriend, was telling someone that like actually knows me very well, so it got back to me.
People make up some funny stories about us, don't they?
I know.
Some true, some not, whatever. All calm is good calm, all publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, and I think it's a funny story. And like honestly, it's like, oh, I could see that being true. If I was an outsider looking in at my life, I'd be like, oh, that like kind of checks.
Yeah.
Not true though. No, I have yet to chase someone with a knife. You do it all the time, I'm sure.
I do it all the time.
Yeah,
I do it all the time. I just did a scene the other day, and my sub, she's really into fear play.
Yeah.
And I was doing some knife play after a wax session, so taking off all the wax with the knife.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Of course,
that's sexy. I like wax
so
play.
It's so sexy.
Yeah.
It is. It's really sensual. It really is a nice way to connect. It's a moment of kind of stillness. And I was taking off the wax with a knife, and of course I have play knives that
like fake stab,
retract.
Like
yeah, that's the word I was looking for. That retract, and I had a fake knife sitting next to me, and of course I've got really beautiful, really ornate knives because it's one of my favorite kinks. So I have beautiful, beautiful knives, and I have this like ugly plastic thing. But just
I know the one.
Yeah,
I know the one.
But just enough to let it shine in the light, and it doesn't last for too long. That moment of fear, but like that 2 seconds that you see their eyes pop out of their
They're
head.
like gagged, they're like
yeah, totally. No, I've been doing this for quite some time. I was lifestyle for a really long time before going pro.
Yeah.
Practices interest me a lot less than the connection with my sub and where I can bring them. You know, like what emotions is the other person looking to live through this experience that can go through practices. For example, if someone wants to feel insecurity, if they want to feel really secure in a space, bondage is a great way to do that. You know, if they want to be in fear, I did an earthquake session the other day.
That sounds fun. Shaking, all the bookcases.
Blindfolded, standing on a stool.
Having books fall on them.
Blindfolded, standing on a stool, and it was an idea that I had, just like spontaneous idea. Blindfolded,
so fun.
standing on a stool, and I like started shaking the stool. weird stuff. In French, we say lâcher prise. I just want to let go.
Lâcher prise.
Isn't it beautiful?
Lâcher prise.
Yeah, I just want to
nice.
let go. I don't want to be in control anymore. And there's a lot of different ways to go about that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have these misconceptions about dominatrices, even the most sadistic ones, which I think I am.
Yeah.
The ones with the biggest smiles are usually the most sadistic ones.
Just preaching to the choir right now.
Right?
Yeah, I'm like, my favorite ways is like, I like CBT.
Yeah.
I like corporal punishment. I like ball busting. I like to break skin. Yeah, that actually also from my mortician days to now, just the safety protocols around like blood and like how dangerous it is, that transferred over as well. But like even just like, okay, this is gonna be really up of me to say. It's true. I don't even care. So like when I was embalming, my favorite part of embalming was draining the blood.
Okay. See, I don't even know the process to embalm
It was
someone.
so satisfying, and like it's not in like a turned on way.
Right.
It was just like it's like popping a zit, and you're like,
and that's totally the image that I had.
Popping a zit, and you're just like, yes, like you're like,
gotcha.
God. So like, you just get like angular forceps in their vein. And like you push sometimes on their like right atrium, and it would just go like that. And I was like,
oh, how cool!
Yes, I loved that. I loved just like watching like the clots come out.
Oh, I can.
I know. I'm like,
No,
it's like
I love
a fucked
it.
up thing.
I love it. No. I love blood play.
I like sounding a lot because of how freaked out vanilla people are by sounding. And so the fact that I do a lot of sounding on people, like when I talk to my vanilla friends and stuff like that, they're like, what is that, first of all? And then I show them and they're like,
yeah.
Oh, I clutched my pearls. I can't believe it. And I love it, even though it's like the practice itself is not that up. It's not.
At all. As long,
and it's not
we have
supposed to hurt.
Right, exactly.
Right?
As long as we have really high standards for hygiene.
Hygiene, yeah, exactly, and sanitation.
Yeah.
Which, like, get an autoclave, of course, like easy, right? They sell on Amazon. Yeah. It's not a big deal.
Don't try this at home, folks.
I mean, or just like do it right.
Yeah.
Also, because I like the reaction out of others.
Really, you're looking for shock factor, not me.
Shock.
You know, that's something that I really hate when I'm talking with vanilla people. Like, what's the filthiest session that you've done, or what's the weirdest session?
What's the weirdest thing you've ever done? Or like, oh, I bet everyone who sees you is like ugly and gross.
Right?
Like, no.
Yeah. Or
like
they're
not
like,
even.
Or they're like a CEO in some high-end company that.
Right.
Like,
Meanwhile, I have a son who works at the dollar store.
Right.
And I love him dearly. He's great.
Yeah. I have plumbers and I have doctors and I have everyone in between.
Yeah.
You know, a lot more people than you think are kinky, and I think a wider age range also. I think, you know, I'm a statistics geek. Like, I love looking at the demographics of my clients. So I fill out like a questionnaire after each session where I rate the session for myself.
Okay.
Like, how do I?
Are you sure you're not a Virgo?
Just a control freak.
Okay.
No, I think it's important for me to be able to look back at my notes and be like, you know, I'm really, really connected with my clients during the session. But because I see a lot of people, sometimes I'll forget details, and I want to make their experience as special as possible.
That's so nice of you.
You know, I do this regularly. I do this a few times a week. I'm creating wonderful, wonderful scenes with these people. But for them, oftentimes it's maybe the first time in their life that they're seeing a kink professional. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're only able to come once a year or once every 6 months. Of course, I have my regulars, and for them, it's a little bit easier to maintain, like, okay, what did that person love?
Right.
But one thing that I like to keep demographics on is age and gender. And I think a lot of people are surprised. I have a lot of female and female identifying clients.
Yeah. You know, I have never ever seen a woman in the dungeon. I have had inquiries. I've had multiple inquiries, and it comes up to pay a deposit, and they ghost.
Yeah, it's a huge step.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons for that. First off, if we talk financially, historically women don't gain, still we don't make as much money as men do, except for the field that we work in, sex work. You know, it's one of the exceptions.
Why do you think we're here?
It's one of the exceptional fields where women are paid at a higher rate than men.
Yeah.
Historically, we didn't have the same access to bank accounts, for example, to loans. We also tend to invest more in the home. And generally men, and these are broad generalizations.
Okay.
I recognize that they're broad generalizations.
Yeah.
In general, a woman will invest more in something for her home that will make her home life easier, and a man has an easier time investing directly in his pleasure. take something simple.
Okay.
A woman has $200 that she can spend on something that she wants.
Yeah.
Okay. She's probably not going to go buy shoes. Despite what we see, she's probably not going to go buy shoes. She's probably going to buy a blender for her kitchen because she's going to use it much more often and it's going to make her home life easier.
Yeah.
We have this tendency to improve our home space a little bit more than men do.
Is there something like that for you that like you have like a comfort buy or like you have like a, and I'm not talking about to add to your dungeon, I'm just talking about like
food. I'm such a foodie.
You like food, yeah.
I love food. Yeah, things for my kitchen for sure. I don't really spend a lot of money. I'm pretty frugal. Well, that's not true. I spend a ton of money organizing events. I spend a ton of time organizing events.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my pleasure is. My kink is getting kinky communities together.
I was gonna ask.
Exactly.
I wanted, what goes into writing a book, girl?
So I had no idea what I was doing. When I
this is a book.
It's a book, yeah. I went pro kind of on accident.
Okay.
I met a foot fetishist online, and he offered to pay me. And I'm not rude, so of course I accepted. I accepted his money, and that was kind of my slow gateway into pro domming.
I love these. So these pictures are good.
Pictures are great. And when I first started in the pro world, it was very different than lifestyle.
Okay.
And I felt really isolated. So for 4 years, I organized a monthly pro dom munch where we came into a restaurant and we just had dinner together, really casual, talking about all the wonderful things and all the terrible things that we deal with as sex workers.
Kind of like what we're doing right now.
Kind of like what we're doing right now. Like, what was great about your month? What was terrible about your month?
Yeah.
Did you see problematic clients? Who did you have a really great time with? Because we have our tourists that kind of make the rounds with all the doms.
Referring us to each other and stuff like that. Yeah.
So that happened every month for 4 years, and then COVID hit. And I was feeling really, really isolated from my community. And after the first lockdown, I had dinner with 2 of my girlfriends. It was the first time that I had physical contact with anybody outside of my partner for several months, and I'm extremely extroverted. I'm extremely tactile. It's like human contact is super important for me.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was talking to my 2 girlfriends who are both writers, and I have a blog on my website. And I said, I have an idea. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to interview doms from around the world. And so that's kind of how the Heart of the Dominatrix came about.
Very cool.
Yeah, I want to do a mini series based on this idea. So all the doms in the book, each of them are really specialized in a particular practice.
Okay.
So things like ABDL, MedFet, heavy bondage, all sorts of different things, caning.
Yeah.
Each one really has her specialty.
Okay.
And that was something that was important for me to show the diversity of what we do, because what you do is not what I do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
We're in the same line of work, but the kind of food you serve at your restaurant is not the kind of food that I serve at my restaurant. That's kind of how I think about it.
Totally.
The more success you have, also, the better it is for me. And vice versa. No, it's true. I'm not into competition amongst...
Collaboration over competition. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you want to get into film?
So I have a post-production company. It's called Jink Lab Creations.
Oh my God, what don't you do?
No, I'm kind of a project nerd. Last year, the 2 films that we made they were screened at 14 different international porn film festivals.
They're incredible.
This year, I'm working on a documentary, same title. It's the Heart of a Dominatrix, because I was contacted by I'm not going to say which platform, but a really big platform to work on a project together. And I said, I really want to do this mini series based on my book. And she said, Inanna, I love the idea. I want to work with you, but you have to do a documentary on yourself. And I said, oh, that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of what I've done. I'm very proud of my work, but I don't have an ego attached to it. I love creating communities, and for me, it's really hard to talk about myself. It's much easier for me to talk about my community and the things that I've built.
Yeah.
And so it's been a real challenge for me to write this documentary.
We all have different strengths.
Yeah, totally. Right? So that's kind of the background of the book, and then the documentary will be coming out later this year.
What's next for you? Do you have something in the works, or do you have like something that you're aspiring to?
So
or are you just kind of taking care of everything now?
I am taking care of everything.
Oh my God, girl! I thought I was busy.
So there's France Femdom, which by the time our little chat comes up on your YouTube channel, France Femdom will be over for this year. But that's my big project of the year. We're talking about starting a porn film festival in Paris because there's not one currently. We were really inspired by the porn film fest that we've attended. My partner's an audiovisual person. They work in post-production. I'm also starting to delve deeper into the psychology of kink, and I'm 45 years old. I know that at 55 years old, I'm not going to have the physical abilities that I have today. And so kind of looking at my very,
just shift it elsewhere.
So
shift it up here.
Yeah, exactly. So last year I took a sex therapy. I took it, I'm so used to saying this in French.
It's okay, you can say it in French and I can pretend to understand.
Sexothérapeute.
Sounds hot.
Right? I took
nice.
a sex therapy training course this year. I'm going through hypnosis training. So to look at other ways that I can help people in the kink community without doing multiple sessions per week. Because as you know, I love the energy of my dungeon, and I will always have lifestyle subs. I will always be practicing, but to do it at the same rhythm, I want to be able to slowly look at how I can move into a different branch of kink. Making more films also, you know, with Jink Lab Creations, with my post-prod company.
Yeah.
Making more films, and I want to do funny kink. We just made a movie called Tastes Like Chicken.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Where I took a chicken and I prepared it to eat, and I did exactly the same thing with my sub.
These are like your loves, BDSM food,
right? Exactly.
Yeah, you should do like a cooking channel perhaps, or like a cookbook, a BDSM cookbook.
I think this was my one experience with writing a book,
Okay.
and I think that was enough.
Okay.
If someone wants
Fair.
to write my biography when I'm old and gray, with great pleasure, but it took 18 months to put this project together. It was beautiful, but that's cool.
Okay.
I think that,
All right.
that was
I get it.
So working more in film and looking at alternative ways to bring the kink joy to everybody. Safety and security workshops, you know, continuing to teach. So continuing to be in the kink community really actively, but
Perfect.
there's so many things to do in this world.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I am excited to see what you do in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule, your very, very busy schedule, to sit and chat with me and show me your dungeon and have me in what beautiful Paris.
Gay Paris.
Gay Paris.
It was great chatting with you, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Until I'm in Paris next time.
Yeah.
We'll do this again.
With great pleasure.
Thank you.
Au revoir.
Au revoir, mon chéri.